So how's it going? 11 p.m. It's June 22nd, 2017 on a Thursday. Yeah, I gotta quit saying that I'm not gonna be back on because then I end up coming back on. That's I don't know what it is. Maybe it's an addiction. Okay, it's not a bad I don't think it's a bad addiction. I'm trying to reach out and give more content to my channel. People want to, people want to listen to what I have to say. They can, don't they don't. It's okay. It doesn't hurt anything. Just adds to my bandwidth, but I'm not going into Run 8 tonight. I'm just gonna go into the forum. I was just thinking I was gonna try to keep this really short, but then I thought, well, wait a minute. It's a Thursday night. I never go to bed at a normal time on a Thursday night because next day's the weekend, and you know, I'm either gonna fall asleep with my son and the next day, or it's not gonna be a big deal. I can get through one day. So I'll probably not going to worry about it. So we'll just go as long as I feel like talking. That won't be that long. I am getting a little bit tired, but just a little drink of water here, and done eating a long time ago for this evening. Supper. Ate too much. But it was good. It was, fattening. What were they, sausages? I don't know. Anyways, enough about. I want to talk about food. I don't even want to think about food now. So, I don't know why I started talking. Just looking at my drink of water here. Okay. So, first of all, I try my best to. One, I tried my best to be fair. I tried my best to give as much information as possible. I try my best to answer as much as possible. I try my best to make myself available, despite the fact that I'm not very much of a social person. Like, I don't go into Facebook and check what everybody else is doing. I don't care. It's kind of weird. Like, I'll go into Facebook and I'll post. The only time I go into Facebook is if I want to find something. Like, for example, there was once upon a time where Run8 version 2 was coming out, and that was the only place I could get information. Because I could never access the Run8 depot forums. I could never hear what was going on. Basically, it either left or got banned. I can't remember. Maybe a combination of both. Who knows? Whatever. I still am, but that's fine. But I certainly appreciate the fact that I can actually see the information again. And I never really tried, but I had access to the maps. I had access to various things like the news updates or whatever, any, brand news or whatever. But I don't know if there was a link to the news on Train Sim or something like that, but it led me over there. And then I think the news led to a forum post. And I thought, well, this ain't going to work because it doesn't work on my computer. Now, my IP address changes all the time, so I don't exactly know how the hell it was blocking me. Might have been something to do with a cookie. I have no idea. But sure enough, I was in. And I was like, whoa. I'm back onto the forums, and that's where I noticed that the forums had changed a little bit. They didn't have the signatures, as I was talking about the other night, so all the issues that really caused some of my concerns and, not being able to get the word out about my forum and all, or server and all that other stuff, which really I don't care about right now. I could care less about that. All I just want to do is help others, believe it or not. And basically help others and possibly show people that there are alternatives. Not to say that I'm not trying to steal people from other servers. I don't care. I want people who I want people who want to be here. California, I think I don't know how, I haven't checked to see how Mike's doing, because I don't get too many posts in here. I know Mike's been pretty busy with work, so I'm not too sure. Smiley's been pretty active in the forums. And I know Tom's been very busy. There's a post by him as well. And hopefully I'll get back onto Tom's server. Hopefully. I keep saying that. I feel bad about that because, you know, Tom's a good guy. And I want to support especially an RTS server, you know. But to be quite honest, I think I was on Smiley's once last year or something like that, but he goes up and down all the time, so I never know when he's going on. Like here, he's like on for now, and then online for the rest of the night, and whatever that is, and then it's gone. And then sometimes I'm on, and then nobody's there, and I'm like, oh. That's why I'm not a big fan of 24/7 servers. Now, if you have a very big, huge, large following, such as a Run8 or one of the more popular, I guess, more popular servers, although I hear a lot of the public servers are not as popular as they used to be. At least that's what I've been told. I don't know. That's what I've been told. I'll take their word for it, because why would they lie to me about it? They don't have any reason to tell me, and I trust the people who are telling me this. So that's fine. It's not about that. I mean, with AI, it really doesn't matter. But in this message here, and I wanted to go, I wanted to do this on YouTube before I wanted to post it, but then today, for some reason, it started raining right at lunch, even though the forecast didn't call for it, and we're like, okay, well, all of a sudden I had an extra 30 minutes. Usually I'd be walking around for 30 minutes at lunch, the other 30 eating my lunch and checking a few forums. So I posted the one message, and then I went on and I started posting more. I realized that I had created a document for some of the screenshots for RJ1 because Jerry was looking for it the other night, and I was thinking, how did I post the message about this? So I don't know if Jerry or others are actually reading the forums, but that's something they should do. Our forums are not that busy, so I would definitely, if you're on the server, or if you're on, you know, either an RTS server or, and I'm still an RTS server. RTS is still my baby, but TSP is still part of RTS. It's just an offshoot of it. It's the Selkirk project. It's not Railroad Transportation Simulator, but it's within the realm. So anything that I do, I will discuss ideas, and you know, I went into a lot of different things here. So anyways, if you look into this link here, now I hadn't done much. I only created an article or a document, and you can't see much, unfortunately. It's all zoomed in. So I'll create something better, but you can click on every one of these images, I think. Yeah, see? There you can see SQP. Then you can look at, then it takes you to the pictures. So you can see the various, you see where the red ends. Then where the recycling starts, so it starts over here, goes all the way back, you know, there, etc. So, I mean, this was all figured out anyways last night while it was being switched. I haven't done the other ones yet. As much as I would love to do this, it's something that I would much rather slowly integrate guides into. I don't know what that's loading up, but anyways. Oh, that's a cool. Wow, nice. Okay. So, but that's that. Let me get out of that. How do I get out of that? Hit X. Okay. So I wanted to explain this a little bit further, and I figure maybe this will reach out to more people, or possibly give you an idea. A lot of people, you know, are either confused as to what they want to do. First of all, anything on the Selkirk project, and I don't know if we're in here. Recently changed pages will also show you Although it doesn't really show you the one that just got changed, because maybe it's because it's created. I don't know. Sometimes I don't know how my like random page that. So yeah, so you go into Selkirk servers. You got Smiley Selkirk server and the Selkirk project. So if you go to the Selkirk project, this will tell you everything there is to it. It tells you that it's on Run8 servers. It tells you everything that is procedures. Now, I don't have access to the actual stuff, but it tells you everything in there. And you know, you certainly should read that. And if you're not sure where to find that, you can do a search for it, but it's all up here, like California servers, currently no other servers, and then the former California server, which has been discontinued. You got the Florida server, all these, and for admins, if you're an admin here, that's the admin dashboard in the corner. So you can do a lot of cool admin things from here if you want to change stuff. I don't know what else you can do in here, but anyways, there's ways of changing menu. I don't know I can't remember. It's been a while. I thought there used to be something here that you could change the menu with, but I don't see it now. I don't know. I know I've done it. It wasn't that long ago. It's just they changed the format a little bit, and I don't see how. I think it's probably in there. I'm not going to go in there while I'm online because I don't know what the hell that's going to show, and I don't want to do that while I'm on a live stream. So, anyways, so the industries are working as expected. I was going to go to YouTube on tonight or Friday. Well, guess what I did? I'm too busy with getting as much cleaned up and ready. Well, you know, my goal tonight was just to clean up, and there wasn't as much recycling as I thought. The garbage didn't take long, the recycling didn't take long, and I really didn't feel like doing much other than clean the toilet bowl a little bit, but that was about it. After that, I knew I didn't have too much more time, and I was a little bit lazy still, and yeah, I procrastinate a lot, so besides, this is more fun. So yeah, so I did the YouTube. So I had 10 minutes, but of course that turned into more because so I had some good feedback regards. So one person's interested in the saves. I will do that at some point. I'm not interested in doing that just yet, because things may still be changing, and but I will do that eventually. Probably sometime towards the end of July. It doesn't take much for me to upload the files. All it is traffic and industry. Not a big deal. So it can be done by one person, and this also can be done by more than one for sure. This has the capacity to, I would say, keep at least 4 people busy. At the very least. It probably does a little bit more. That you know, sometimes the schedule dies down a little bit. A lot of the switching jobs are during the daytime, so when nighttime comes around, there's more opportunity to run main lines, etc. You're not, you know, the more people that become regular users and who are interested in switching means that those that want to switch are going to have to take their turns and bid and all that other stuff. We don't have a bid board set up right now, and the only reason why, there's 2 reasons why the bid board is not up right now. Number one, it's basically a bid board I'm putting up for, I don't have a format as far as when the trains will run, exactly. I haven't really gotten that far yet. I want to see how things go. I would prefer not to overwhelm or duplicate jobs, at least not the switching jobs, so I'd rather spread them out as much as possible, but at the same time, I want to have something that is predictable. I'm getting towards that now. I think as of this session coming up, I'm going to start getting a better idea as to what days things are, or like basically it's going to go into a 3-day cycle. So every third day, those jobs will repeat. There are some daily jobs, the supply trains that go west and east, or the supply train and the return train that actually also serves Guilderland on the way back. So those are 2 B trains. So they'll be daily. The auto rack trains that, as well as the auto rack industries, and I believe, although it's not really set yet, eventually the ADM switcher will be as well. I'm not too sure about Lehigh Cement. I doubt it, but other places like, I'm not too sure yet. I gotta wait and see how Owens Corning does, or some of the other places that are a little bit bigger that can handle a little bit more. Then I'll play around. And blocking trains in various yards. So there is opportunity at night, as well. And a lot of that is night jobs. Whereas the local switching is, done during the day. So, so that it's all about, one, that's how the schedule is in real life as far as the locals. Plus, it's much easier to switch in daylight, because when you don't have a moon, and yeah, you can play around. You can change your own clock on the client side if you don't like what the server's showing. You can change the clock to daylight if you want and hit the freeze button, and you would be able to see what everybody else would see on the server as darkness. You can see as daylight. You do not have to run the same time of day as everybody else. There's nothing stopping you from doing that. All you do is you click the freeze button, or I think there's an option now where you don't have to, or you're allowed to override the server times or something like that to your own preference. I forget what that option is, but there's an option in there. I know that there's several ways of doing it. The easiest way is just to hit the freeze button. That'll stop network time updates. So you can run whatever day and time. You may have a lightning storm, whereas some place else might have sunny, just because you're on a different day. So Jerry, I mentioned Jerry. Jerry's been with us, and he runs the majority of locals. Now, as I've said, it's open to everyone, and I'm very serious about that. It's open to everybody. Now, I've seen people that are starting to show interest, but the way I mentioned this in here, right now, and this is basically, and this is why it's important, if reading the forums, I don't get much acknowledgement in the forums or discussion in the forums, unfortunately. I don't. There's very little discussion. It seems like, I mean, even sometimes the live streams or the YouTube videos get replies, and I certainly am willing to reply to them, and I check the forums all the time. But there's not much activity in the forums. I've noticed that pretty much ever since the California server went down for RTS. That's when I started noticing the drop. And yeah, there was a lot of people that were busy, but that was when I found that things had changed with the activity. And I don't know if it was because I switched over to Selkirk and most of posting was initialized by me, but I don't think it was just me. I mean, Tom still posts. So the forums are not perfect, but they're still usable. But I don't get much activity, or discussion, or people who have ideas, who have concerns, maybe. I suspect that there may be some type of concern, so this is why I'm kind of doing the video. I want to make sure, and this is for very few people. I mean, I'm reaching out, and we're talking, I mean, literally I don't know if we even have a handful of what I would say even partially regular users right now. It is that low. That's fine. And I'm fine with it, actually, because that's exactly why I did it. I didn't want to worry about having to please everybody. Not to say that I don't want to. It's that California was becoming a monster, and to have it even closely prototypical. Now, don't get me wrong. Seeing an empty hump yard in Florida is not, or not Florida, in Selkirk is not exactly what I would say is nice. But we're at a point where we're the opposite now, where when California was at its peak on Mike's server, we were running all kinds of trains. We could have 6 people, and it was absolutely insanely cool. The only thing was the yard operations required a lot to keep that level up. And that was where the stress started coming in. It became very, very stressful. At least for me it did, and for others who had limited time. So but that was really where I personally was getting frustrated. I wanted I wanted something that was not as intense, because I can no longer create, I can no longer do anything. The good part is, man, my throat is dry tonight. Every time I talk, ridiculous. Hold on a second. I mean, I've certainly had liquids tonight. Great, sorry about that. So, okay, needed that. So I'll have to give up pretty soon because my voice is going to give up. So, like I said, you know, you can read what I'm basically talking about. I'm certainly, I certainly am having a blast. Now, there's a lot more potential. One thing that I'm finding is that the locals really present an interesting operation challenge, or a dispatching challenge, because once the locals come into play, that suddenly creates a lot of interesting meets. I would love, personally, this is just me, and it doesn't have to be this way, and I'm not worried about it, but I would love to be in a position where I know we had enough people on a regular basis that I could run, you know, a typical 8 a.m. to noon or a noon to 4 p.m. session, and know I have 4 people who want to run locals. And it's not so much about the main lines, but have those 4 people on there, because what that would mean is there would be enough people to run all the locals that were being scheduled. Now that would have to continue on a regular basis. I was kind of hoping we would be getting close to that, but I haven't seen any added interest. So I'm like, well, it's not there. So this is also starting to influence me in regards to the demand for RTS. The creative side of me, or the person who wants to make others happy before I make myself happy, which happens quite a bit, believe it or not, wants to spend the time, go in. I mean, that's why I'm on YouTube right now. It's not really so much to hear myself think. I put it this way, if I want to hear myself think, all I have to do is when I'm driving, I can talk to myself in the car any day, anything, talk about dreams, talk about anything I want, and I'll hear myself think. and I don't have to hear my own voice to hear myself think. I can sit here and think about things, and play a little bit of music in the background, and and think about anything. Think about life, think about dreams, think about passions, think about what I want to do, what the world's going to be like, you know, next year. What's it going to be like when my son isn't my suck anymore, basically. Um, stuff like that. So this isn't about me. I'm not doing this. Yeah, I am doing it. Eventually. Yeah, of course I'm doing it it makes me happy to try to help others, or try to give the idea that, hey, there's a lot of potential here. But I don't know exactly if people need something from me, or if people want something from me, because I don't have, I don't have the necessary questions that are being asked. I don't, I know some places frown on repeat questions. I don't care. If there's an article and I can link you to the article, it's just a matter of me saying, here you go. And that's all there is to it. And it doesn't take much. So, what's basically happening as far as what my decisions are regarding the locals that get run and who's running the locals. I use Run8 servers, just like in the procedure says. I use Run8 servers. The next two sessions are already up there. I usually try. I mean, I could start trying to post them at a particular date and time. I just don't want people to expect it to be there at a particular date and time. I can try to keep as many in advance that I can. Actually, that's what I'm trying to do, to make sure that the next session, I got a Monday and a Wednesday, or sorry, a Wednesday and a Sunday session that is currently there, that I just basically rehash. So ideally, what I want to have is the next session's availability already up. From there, I don't really update the available trains list. There's not enough people or not enough demand to warrant it. The trains are there, they can be found. It doesn't take much, even in the way we're set up for the dispatching in dictatorship mode, or whatever it's called. You can still see the trains. Generally, I'll dispatch right hand running as much as possible. Not always, but you can still go in, fly over to certain areas, see the symbols, see what the trains are doing. You can certainly follow the live stream if you wish, although I don't advise it if you're trying to figure out where trains are going to meet and all that other stuff. I mean, you could, if that's what you want to do, and that's an option. But ideally, you're basically should be considering, maybe at the least, where other trains may be, so that it might be interesting for you. But other than that, once you're in the cab, and if you're running a mainline train, I wouldn't concern yourself with anything that involves where other trains are going to be, or where you're going to see the meets. I would just run and be surprised when you see it, or be pleasantly surprised when you see it, or watch the signals, watch the opposing signals, watch when you have to all of a sudden start following yellows, and you're behind somebody, or you're a slower train and you get moved over. So I mean, there's a lot of that. There's not that. I miss some of the complexities of dispatch in California, because California was a hoot to dispatch. It really was. Selkirk Mohawk is for the most part a cakewalk. There's not too much there. So, but as I was getting to say, what I do is, if the servers, Run8 servers, has the posted items up, what I tend to do is I look to see what people are looking for. The other thing I'm starting to try and pick out is who are regulars and who aren't. If and I understand. I mean, not everybody can be there for every week or every day. I get that, but I have to know that before I'm ready to push on to another level of available locals. So, in other words, if Jerry is the main guy that runs the switching, I just give enough for one person, and that's Jerry. For me personally, yes, I can do it, but I consider myself the backup, and I also consider myself the number two crew when needed. And what I mean by that is, if, for example, like last night, for example, the supply train, Jerry was, I believe he was working the auto facility at the time. Now, he could have, if it was just me, again, I was the only one that able to control, what would happen is, if I was working the auto facility, then I was the only one there, then I would stop the auto facility switcher, relinquish, or at the very least spawn the supply train, wait for him, or keep an eye at Selkirk for him to do his crew change. And when he went to do his crew change, that's when I would stop switching the auto rack. I'd go over to that mainline train, do what I had to do there, put him back on AI, just like I did last night. I put it back on AI, and then go back to switching the auto rack facility. That's if it was just me there. Of course, because Jerry's there, he's got actual jobs that require at least a reasonable amount of switching. Whereas I basically do the thing that keeps the main line going from a dispatcher's perspective, and something just to basically feed the supply, feed the actual locals later on, because that has the supply train. It's not so important to have the supply train on schedule, but it can be important when later on, when it comes to making sure that cars are there so that they are capable of being blocked. When things can't be blocked, then it just makes it much more difficult to switch. So if you have 3 supply trains per switch, in other words, it takes 3 supply trains to fill up all the cars needed for the various locals. If you have those supply trains that come in, they're basically building the same, even though that they're blocked as they're coming in, and they stay in their blocks relatively, although the loads and the empties are separated. What ends up happening is a second and third supply train comes in, and suddenly you don't have your blocking anymore. Your blocking is gone, because now you're dealing with more than one train. So that becomes a requirement, where not a requirement, but a recommendation, that you would actually need something in there to block up the trains. Like, earlier on, I think South Schenectady was blocked up to where it's in the current condition it's in right now. What that allowed us to do, both myself and Jerry, was able to run the Rotterdam Junction train and finish that yesterday's session, whereas I'm now in there, ready to pick up all the cars for Gelderland. So I had my light power come from Rome or wherever the hell it was, and so I'm now sitting there at the end of last session. I'm now sitting in a position where all I have to do is double up on the cars. I have a silly caboose with me for some reason, but that's why I'm getting rid of them. And you know, if I don't need any cabooses, they're all going. I don't care as much as I like the caboose. They're not really useful for anything. So, I mean, other than a shoving platform, and I don't think there's a switch. I'll let Jerry decide on that one. If he thinks there's particular locals that could use the shoving platform, then he can advise me. But otherwise, I might hold up some caboose, like the extra caboose, maybe one in Selkirk and one in Syracuse, just so it's around. I might plop one up in Utica, South Schenectady. Maybe, I doubt it. There's anything up there, but you know, those are the types of options. But I gotta get those cars. I haven't got those yet either. But so yeah, I guess my trains of thoughts are starting to slip, so maybe that's getting later. What else did I want to say? So yeah, I kind of gave an outlook of what's coming up. So I do know roughly, I have a pretty good idea of what's coming. It's going to take a while, unfortunately, to even have one local available, let alone two. Simply because, well, simply because I'm tired, I guess. I think I was tired, but I'm starting to yawn now, so that's a good sign. But simply because we have so much. I see, I'm losing my trains of thoughts again. This is, but to the point where I'm rambling pretty soon. But I don't know. I don't know what. Just the way the supplies are, you know, they go in, they go out, and you end up having. Yeah, I don't know what I was gonna say. It's there. I forget it. It couldn't have been that important if it was. You know, no big deal. So yeah, let me just almost wrap this up, I guess. I was mentioning Run8V2. Now I certainly see what's going on. They're active. The forums are certainly active, anyways. They're the go-to forum. Train Sim has died out again. I don't know what's going on over there. They were getting busy for a little bit. I mean, there is a little bit of activity, but there's really not too much going on, unfortunately. You know, it is what it is. And I know there's other forums out there. I should be checking into them, to be quite honest. I mean, there's even Mike's forum. I keep forgetting about it, but I'm so used to routines that I haven't really got into it. And I suppose the reason why I'm not on Mike's forum that much is because I'm not on his server. Will that change later on? I'm not sure yet. As much as I miss running in California, and I do miss running in California, believe me. I was, you know, I think I ran 3 weeks ago or something like that. But it won't happen until at least I would say towards the end of July, I would imagine. I'm not too sure what's going to happen when I come back. There's a part of me that wants to, I actually want to start blogging and doing some other projects. Probably heard of, I don't know if you've heard of Steam It, but I definitely want to get into that. I think this kind of thing, you know, it's not about being paid or anything like that. Like, I don't take, what do you call it, advertising money for. I could, you know, I could start doing that, but then I've noticed in the past that I start getting into content that's, you know, they don't want to monetize you because you're defending some political party or something. You know, somebody complains, don't get any money for it, even though you're showing their advertising. It's just like, get it. But Steam It has some potential, so I might start doing something like that. But I was just saying, like, you know, if I really wanted to, and I do want to interact with people, I want to interact with people in a lot of ways. To be honest, I want to I want to get more into some of the discussions. I certainly miss forums like Run8V2 to a certain extent, or at least the activity, not the not the good old boys club crap and um, you know, that kind of thing. Just talking about Run8. I mean, stuff like that. I can do it on Train Sim, to the cows come home, and it seems like myself and just a handful of others are the only ones that are keeping the flame alive over there. It seems at least. Um, and the odd sprinkling of the oddball post from here and there, but no, it's I was quite happy to be able to at least start viewing the Run8V2 forums again. Like I say, I mean, I could watch it from work. I could still watch it from my computer. I just don't have to log on as long as I'm not using cookies. I mean, if I really wanted to, I could probably put in. I have a different email address, so I could easily use one of my other email addresses and just say, okay, well, that's call myself Joe Schmo. Joe Schmo is gonna log in, and maybe Joe Schmo is gonna get access, and he's gonna post, but then eventually figure out Joe Schmo's me. And besides, I've been other people in other forums. I shouldn't be saying that, but it's true, and really, it doesn't really matter anymore, to be quite honest. Anyways, so, but I I I could say who, but or what, and all that stuff. I don't want to get them in trouble, but there's people have been very happily been able to share information with me, give me screenshots, give me passwords, all kinds of crazy things. So I mean, if I want the information bad enough, I can get it. Um, there's all kinds of information that I've seen I get. And most of it's harmless. I mean, it's just info, just another perspective, and it allows me to keep my mouth shut, not offend anybody, because what usually winds up happening in some of these forums is there's some kind of drama, and then boom, that's it. Now, am I the cause of it? I don't know. Drama seems to follow me, so who knows? But yeah, water all over myself. Gotta love that. Must be losing it. But yeah. Um, but that's all. I'm just starting to ramble now, so I don't know what else there was on this. I think I got into everything that was on this. Yeah. I mean, the information's there, but no, I want to be fair. Bottom line is, I want to be fair to people who want the opportunity. I will certainly be willing to expand, even if you're somebody who's wanting to switch, but you can't switch every night. So I have these regular times. By all means, let me know, in the forum here or whatever. Just post in the forums. There's nothing to be worried about by posting in the forums or replying to this or even posting on YouTube or whatever. Because then what happens? Now, I don't have comments on my live streams. The only reason why I don't have comments on my live streams is the screen that I'm looking at is the screen I'm looking at. I don't have a chat screen here. And yeah, I could do that. And I suppose maybe that would be more beneficial for me, but then to set it up, it would take a second screen, as far as I know, to be able to, for you guys to see what I'm doing here. And then, although this isn't really beneficial to anything for YouTube, hell, I could do a podcast in this right now. be more beneficial. Yeah, if you guys are looking, you know, you have certain schedules. I understand everybody's busy and not everybody can commit and all that other stuff. All I'm trying to do is until I have some kind of evidence that there is enough demand, I can't foresee expanding anything further. If I expand it too much further apart, um, or somehow say, well, now I'll permit night switching, something like that, or whatever, just for the sake of it, and then suddenly I'm the only one that has to switch at night, I am not going to like it. So no, I won't do that. I would much rather expand once we have a steady group of people, and we don't have that right now. It's potential, and I'd love to see it, but it's not. It doesn't detract me from what I enjoy with Run 8 right now. I enjoy Run 8 the way it is. I wouldn't change it. You know, I'd like to see more features. I'd like to see more improvements. Speaking of which, improvements, of course, the other big topic, of course, is the RTS software. Now, ironically enough, the demand for the RTS software is very limited. Though I know from various YouTube videos in my history, I've had thousands of views on even like one video, let's say. I've had thousands of views. Are we into rain again? Yes, we are. One tonight too. Oh yeah. I heard rain outside. I went, what the hell? But yeah, so like with the YouTube or whatever, you know, I can look in, I can see how much views there are. I could also see how many downloads there were for the original RTS software, and there was a lot. Now that doesn't mean nothing. What means more to me is when I see how many people are using it or how beneficial. Now, it was not a very user-friendly program. Ski was actually in the process of doing some pretty cool user-friendly stuff. Unfortunately, he got busy, and that's just the way life is. And I mention him in almost every video because, I mean, if he was around right now and he's from the area, I don't know if he would run California or here, or a combination of both, or what he would do. To be quite honest, because I know he enjoyed the operations in California just like I did. I mean, him and I had a discussion one time. Despite the fact that we were here, we said, you know, I've run up and down the line, and I've run up and down the line too. And I'll be honest, running up and down the line in Selkirk Mohawk is not what I would call, I don't know. It's a beautiful route. I say it's the most beautiful route in all the three. The thing is, though, it's relatively double track and flat, and there's a lot of great scenery. But from an operation standpoint, it's very efficient because it used to be a 4-track main line when it was back, you know, in the New York Central era before, just before Conrail, I think, because Conrail started ripping out tracks, if I'm not mistaken. But it was a very efficient. There was tons of infrastructure in it, and probably why some of those railroads went bankrupt was they had so much infrastructure, and they were great before the trucks started really taking off. And when the trucks started taking all the business and the air traffic and air freight and courier and whatever else started eating into the business, then suddenly they weren't so hot anymore because they had too much infrastructure, and they didn't know how, you know, they never were able to recover. So that's a beneficiary of that. California is a different animal. California, you're, with the exception of Needles and with the exception of Cajon, which is a lot more upgraded. I know I saw a post on Run8 Depot the other night about how they were saying, you know, that one person was hoping to see the third track in. Well, yeah, okay, that would make it more modern, but would you really want to see the third track in? So, and I'm not saying that, you know, there's right or wrong answer to that, but personally, anything that makes it easier suddenly takes away from the coolness of it. For me, having the meets and having the traffic congestion build up and trying to deal with the dispatching of it is what I enjoy. So at the same time, when I've seen some opinions of how operation, like for example, I heard from a rail fanning perspective, I think it was a rail fanning perspective of New York, that westbounds run down 11, or the inbound track, but a lot of times the eastbound will take the fast freight line. That's preferably they will use that. Apparently, I don't know, but generally speaking, from what I understand, or even what I understand from the message, is that that's just an option. That generally they will use 11. 11 is the through track, and that's what it's there for. And because it's still yard limits, it's still 10 miles an hour either way. It doesn't matter. So, but that's just that's just one of those things where it adds to it. So I don't want to take. I'm not in any hurry to worry about, because somebody even was mentioning about that. Like you could do this, or you could switch from this end, and you can do all that. I'm like, yeah, I understand. In fact, the way I set up Selkirk the other night with my set off in the last hour, I did the first a brand new supply train with all the industries. I started setting off and kicking cars all the way down to the east end of South Departure. And the reason why I kicked them that far was because I intend to have the local switcher eventually block those cars and work it from, of course, the east side as opposed to the west. The westbound train didn't spend too much time in there. He was in. I did a crew change. I took over, did a few moves. I think there was only 3 cuts of cars throughout. I didn't sort them or anything like that. All I did was basically find whatever cars were there and drop them off. The same thing's going to be for South Schenectady, Utica, and it's just going to arrive at Syracuse. So that's all there. So it's fine with that. Florida is an interesting one. Florida is going to evolve. I mean, it's on the verge of evolving as it is right now. Florida is really going to. I'm keeping a close eye on it. Put it this way, because I'm curious as to what Tom's going to do with Florida upgrades, and I'm curious also how much traffic Florida is going to bump. Because right now, here's the thing, and I don't want to change it now, but this is something I kept in the back of my mind. If I decided before, instead of doing Selkirk, that I wanted to do Florida, there was a reason where I saw potential optimism down the road, and that was when Waycross came in. Because what would happen there, suddenly you're dealing with a lot of industries, for one, because what Tom has put in is utterly amazing. And I like that. The other thing that I really like about that is you can have supply train come in. Now, that's all going to change. Right now, it works perfect for the supply train type thing that runs in the AI system for the waybills, because they all come in from Waycross, and they go back out. Just one way. Supply train comes in, and then the outbound goes out. So you don't need to worry about bringing in a bunch of men, because there is none. You're getting it all on one train. You might get it on more than one or two a second section, but that's all you're getting it on. So it's that easy. So, but the problem with the problem with California is it's getting too big. I don't know of any. Despite Run8 Depot's popularity and from what I understand of the numbers and everything like that, they cannot possibly run what they've got right now at 100% capacity. Not 24/7 they can't. And they'll never, and I don't think they'll ever try to do something similar to this. There's ways of sharing save files and network files and transferring a server from one computer to another, and the whole idea behind that is you want to have somebody who's responsible to take control of things and to progress the server, and to monitor it, quite frankly, see who's coming on and what's going on. You need to be on top of it. If you just let it go into anarchy, then basically it's open season, especially when you don't have your admin members on and you're in the middle of the night. Perhaps anybody can do something. And that's what I love about the way I run the sessions now. I miss out on the flexibility of being able to get a bunch of people in, but I have total control over who I let in. And that's not to say I don't let people in, because I do. As long as you're signing up, I'm letting you in, and nobody else really comes onto the server otherwise. And I told people, anybody who wants to take a look at what we do, if you want to take a look, explore the world and Railfan virtually, come on over. You know the times I run. Come on over, take a look. Watch the switching in an area if you want. Watch the main lines, hop on a train, go for cab rides. Do whatever you want. No, you're always welcome to do that. As long as you're not flicking around with switches, you're allowed to trespass. And go on engines, cab ride, do whatever it is that you want to do to enjoy. And hopefully other people, will start to feel comfortable, ask questions. But there's so much potential, and that's the only reason why I'm trying to reach out a little bit, is I would love to see that potential realized again. Love to see those type of things happen. I don't know if they're going to. At this point, I don't see how, especially when they're talking about editors. They're talking about, I don't know, yeah, the things are going to grow, but it's never going to be people, the numbers. I think there's going to be little splits amongst various areas, and this whole let's make the world as big as we can because we know it. I personally wish they would get the hell out of that out of California and start exploring different areas and maybe even different continents or something. Have a Canadian route, have a Mexican route. It don't matter. Have have a Fostoria, Ohio line. Have one up in Chicago. Have whatever else. There's, North Platte, like UP. Yeah, do North Platte Yard. Well, I don't. North Platte Yard is the biggest, so that'd be kind of hard to model. Anyways, I'm gonna end it for now. I'm just yapping. I figured I'd do that, and yeah, now I'm gonna go to. Thanks for keeping me awake, and another purpose to reach out, and yeah, I gotta stop procrastinating. Tomorrow, I don't know. I'm not gonna promise anything. Session's up for Sunday. Sign on up if you didn't. If you're new, don't be shy. Come on by, say hi, just check things out. I don't mind, you know, when it's not that busy. I don't mind people asking questions. I especially enjoy the forum posts when we get them, and YouTube comments and anything like that. That's you know, can goes a long way. Whatever I can do helps. Like I said before, it's not about me. I'm just trying to be fair to. I want others who might want opportunities. I want to make sure they have those opportunities, but I also want to make sure that people have what they're looking for. I don't want to bend over backwards to please everybody. That's not what I'm saying. I've never been like that anyways. I'm certainly goal oriented. Um, and for now, as I mentioned, Florida, I just don't think I'm going to have what it takes to go into Florida and try to do anything better than what Tom's already got. But it'll be interesting to see when dispatching how much of dispatching, because if there's a dispatcher on duty, uh, I will certainly be interested in running in those lines. But we'll see. Anyways, that's all for tonight. I'm dead tired. That's a good sign. Wow. Okay, enough was enough. So, if I don't see you before, how about, yeah, I'll start it that way. If I don't see you before then, have a good weekend. We'll be back on Sunday otherwise. Have a good one.